Brandin Cooks right now is coming off the board as the 59th wide receiver off the board. Last season, 81 targets, 54 receptions, 657 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Thoughts on Brandin Cooks?
I feel like Brandin Cooks is being drastically undervalued. Um, there is still a lot of rumblings in Cowboy camp that CeeDee Lamb is frustrated and going to hold out over not receiving a new contract, right? He wants this Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson type money. Um, so he didn't show up to mandatory minicamp, and if he's not there, Cooks is the veteran guy. He's the only veteran receiver that the Cowboys really have to count on, and for him to be going, at pick 137 is a crime. Honestly, like he's being drastically undervalued because if Lamb doesn't go, Cooks is going to get peppered with targets. And they can line him up in the slot. They can line him up outside. He still has the speed to get behind defenses, not as easily as when he was, quote unquote, a young man at the age of, 20, 21, 22, but still at the age of 30, he can get behind defenses and do some damage here. So I like Cooks a lot. I love the value that you're getting him at because I think it's going to return so much for you, because ultimately he's going to be the second leading receiver in Dallas. He just is. Yes, CeeDee Lamb eats up a bunch of that, but Cooks is going to be clearly number 2. And then you have Ferguson and Hendershot and Schoonmaker all kind of playing there in the tight end room.
Let me ask you about this. Cooks is going, wide receiver 59?
Mm-hmm.
Realistically, if CeeDee Lamb holds out, what does he finish?
17.
Yeah. No problem, right? That's a very comfortable. I feel like 17 floor. Is very attainable, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, if CeeDee Lamb is there, right? We still think that passing game is going to be something, right? Like that running game is going to be a little suspect, right? Zeke's back, but that running game's going to be a little suspect. So even if he is half of that without CeeDee Lamb, that's wide receiver 34 still. So you're talking about high end or back end wide receiver 3 territory, right? And he's going 59. Like, yeah, the value is there. The value is definitely there with Brandin Cooks. And you're right, Kevin, criminally undervalued. So this is a guy, if you're in a league and you're drafting right now, you can play the long con here, right? Because there's going to be a lot of players that go in front of him. But you do want to pay attention when it comes about that, when you're about to pick in 120, what is that, the 10th round? You can get a steal with Brandin Cooks.
Where the potential floor is, where the potential ceiling is. Last year with the Dallas Cowboys, right? Like that offense kind of was just struggling a little bit through the first 6 weeks of that, and really until they got to their bye week. And kind of coming out of their bye week, we saw this kind of new engaged offense and really started seeing some high flying things going on and all of that. Brandin Cooks from week 6 to the end of the season was wide receiver 22 on that time span. And I think that's probably where we can see him perform. And that was even with CeeDee Lamb going ham out there week in, week out, and doing CeeDee Lamb type of thing. So there's room for even if CeeDee is playing the whole season and shows up and goes, that we could see Brandin Cooks be a back end wide receiver 2, even with that.